Yo, get all this shit in the back. Let me get all this shit out the back. Let's get this a second. Let's get this a second. Get us a second. I started a little late. I couldn't figure out. They would change stuff around on Facebook. Couldn't figure out where the live button was at anymore. Give it a second. I was going to take the night off, but I got motivated to get on here for a little while and talk about a couple things. What's that? What's that? Yeah, I got motivated to talk about a couple things that we're gonna get into. Facebook, do me a favor, like the video on the way in. We're gonna get started in 1 second. Pardon the background. I ain't feel like going nowhere tonight. I ain't feel like going to set things up, and I ain't feel like none of that, to be honest. Um, but there's some things we're going to touch on. We're going to talk about. Um, YouTube, you see the title of the video. Facebook, you don't see the title of the video, but it's called what I said. I named it some um, evil, pretty much evil in the entertainment industry. Um, yeah, it's a couple things I want. Some stuff I've been meaning to talk about, but some stuff definitely I want to talk about and get to. Definitely. Um, Facebook, do me a favor, like the video on the way in. Like the video on the way in. Do me a favor. Let me know you in here. Like I said, pardon. I'm in the house. I ain't feel like going to set nothing up and doing all that extra stuff. I ain't feel like that stuff tonight. Kev, what's up, brother? Um, I know I owe you a call back. That's my fault. I've been meaning to call you back. Um, but it's like I said on YouTube, the title of the video is um I named it something I can't remember exactly, but evil in the entertainment industry. Um, I've done a couple of videos talking about the music industry. I talk about the entertainment industry, but specifically the music industry. Because I think that the history is lost on how did specifically hip hop music get to where it's at today, as far as its content. Um, I think it's something that's always existed across music as a whole. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's been on this level when it comes to the lyrical content or the drugs and the violence and the amount of friction and altercations that actually happen outside because of it. Um, but there's always been some level of sex in music, right? And specifically pedophilia in music. All you gotta do is go back and listen to some of your favorite records by some of your favorite artists. You know what I mean? And you will realize exactly what they were saying. Then you was just singing along, especially depending on your age. I always tell people I was young singing this stuff. I wasn't really paying attention. It was a good beat, a good melody, so to say. It was captivating, so it did its job. So you didn't pay attention to stuff like lyrical content and actual pay attention to the words that was actually being said and that you were repeating. I'm gonna speak for myself. I ain't gonna speak for everybody, but I know me myself. That's really what a lot of music was for me at that time. As I got older and matured and really started understanding more about life and subject matter, you started paying attention a little bit more to the content that you was repeating, and you started analyzing the lyrics, especially when you started being able to repeat lyrics without music, without hearing the artist singing, right? So it was like, hold on, time out. What did he just say? You know what I mean? What she just say? It's like, oh wow, that's wild, right? Um, but like I said, it's always been some level of this in entertainment. I mean, even movies or TV shows or cartoons. I mean, we can. I mean, really, it's endless. You can go back and just really pay attention to whether it's homosexuality, was it pedophilia, was it drug use, was it adultery, if it was rape, incest, like you name an ill, you name an evil, and you really can go back to a movie, a cartoon, a TV show, music, and find it. You know what I mean? It wasn't as overt. I don't think it was as overt um as it is today. Um in some ways it was, in some ways it wasn't. I just think we as a people, we as a society just really wasn't paying attention and staying in tune with the material that we was viewing or listening to. I think we was caught up in the moment and caught up on whatever allure that temporary gratification or entertainment or excitement that brought us at that moment, right? Um, but if you, I mean, and there's a couple things that's spurring this. I don't want to talk around in circles. I don't want anybody to talk over their head. It's a couple different things that's making me feel the way I'm feeling currently right now, right? That makes me want to speak on it. Um, One, anybody know about the show? I'm pretty sure anybody will say something about Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. I can't remember her actual first name, but nickname Cassie Ventura, who was his ex girlfriend. Last week, she filed a lawsuit alleging it was some pretty heinous stuff in there that she was alleging, right? From him stomping on her face to getting beat on, forced drugs, forced to have sexual intercourse for his personal entertainment with male prostitutes and other entertainers as well. Um, Forced to do stuff from an intimidating standpoint, like holding pistols or going to retrieve firearms just to let you know I got it, and it's a whole psychological um intent there, right? For our watches intimidation, along with having a bunch of money, along with having a bunch of influence, right? So it just furthers the psychological imprisonment. That's really what it becomes, psychological imprisonment. Um, but if you pay attention, right, a lot of things that she's accusing him of doing, R. Kelly was accused of doing similar things, right? Um, and I mean, this is just one person for now, right? It's just one person. Some people are dead; they would never be able to speak on what may have happened or may have not happened, right? Talk about with respect to Sean Combs. Um, but this just the first person, right? And the only thing Cassie wanted was to get paid. My understanding, she she didn't want to pursue any criminal charges against the guy. Um, she wanted what she feels though she was due from a financial sense, whatever that means, right? Um, whatever that means to her. My understanding there's been some back and forth dialogue between the two teams and parties of I want this for a while as a financial compensation. Um, and it didn't get real until I guess she filed it in court, right? She filed a civil complaint in court with these allegations. If you know anything about court, civil court, you can't be arrested. Could they use some of these things to pursue criminal charges? We've seen it with R. Kelly, right? Um, you've seen it with Bill Cosby as well, right? Um, but for her, this was never about him being held accountable from a legal justice system standpoint. Now I've heard mixed things about that, but I'll continue on this path, and then I'll get to her path, right? Um, so my understanding was communication between the two teams, dialogue between the two teams. She wanted a check, he didn't want to give up a check. Like I said, it didn't get real until her lawyers filed um civil actions in court for her to be compensated appropriately. I've heard from the beginning he offered her an 8-figure settlement. I don't know what that 8-figure settlement was, but they wind up selling him, I think, for about, if the reports are right, somewhere neighborhood of 30 million. Not sure how accurate that is, right? Um, but the thing about the civil matter is that it was settled pretty quick. I want to say within 48 hours, this was settled out of court. Um, one thing about civil court, or anytime you cop a plea, even in criminal court, you would never hear the evidence of the case, right? You would never hear the facts of the case or what the allegations of or the case with the details, right? We've seen the main charges, okay, assault and uh, sex, human trafficking, and okay, but you would never hear the details and the circumstances that this person felt that these charges were justified. And this is my support and evidence to support that, right? Um, Making her swear under oath to her official statements and her perspective of her personal experiences dealing with this man to what his personal feelings does of dealing with this woman, right? Whether it's like, no, she full of crap, that this is a that's an extortion deal or whatever the case may be. We will never hear exactly what transpired between these two people with that kind of detail of this, right? Um, there's been rumors for years of allegations of brutality towards women involving this guy. It's not a new charge. It's not a new allegation. I think this is the first person that went this far, as far as letting the public know what he may or may not have done to her. Right. Um, say if you know if it, quick little study, a quick little research, quick little. I mean, you will find that these charges or these allegations are pretty consistent dealing with this guy. Um, pretty consistent. Um, there, like I said, there's Kim Porter. It was similar allegations um that he was supposed to have done to her. For a while is the violence against women part, right? Um, to my understanding, she got tired of it, she fought back, and then that stopped, right? But like with her, she was supposed to write a book, right? It's supposed to be like a tell-all book, and and then she ended up dead from pneumonia. I don't know. Kind of like Easy E with the age thing, right? I don't know. I'm just here. Um, but without any type of conspiracy theories or any type of assumptions being made, there's clearly a dark cloud that kind of follows this guy. If nothing else, um, it is pretty consistent, right? It comes and goes away, but anytime somebody has the gall, so to say, to get up in front of a camera and a microphone and talk about their experiences with this guy, it's typically not anything positive. I think that's the most consistent part. If you really look at it and you want to be honest about it. Um, so my theory is that can't believe everything you hear, but at the same time, everything can't be a lie. You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is, especially when something seems to be pretty consistent with the same narrative. When you get different people from different places that haven't really commingled, right? But they all have the same seem to have the same viewpoint of this particular person, and it's like, okay, I'm talking about the bad stuff. I ain't talking. I'm saying like that consistently kind of has similar variables and attributes within people describing their encounters, women specifically. Um, but like I said, this is some of the things that R. Kelly was accused of doing and convicted of doing. Not only accused but convicted, right? For both in civil and in criminal. So it's funny because when I mean, and I speak on R. Kelly and I like privately, we had private conversations about viewpoints and thoughts and I always said even in private that um R. Kelly, I'm pretty sure he wasn't the worst one. I'm pretty sure some people out there 20 million times worse than R. Kelly that never came to light. Right? We're talking black people. Somebody brought up Harvey Weinstein, Timmy Weinstein, how you say his name, Clive Davis and them. It's like, okay, um, get all that. But no, we're talking black folks. You know what I mean? And typically that's because, especially black men that have been demasculized in the entertainment industry. Um, they typically do that to other younger black males, right? Boys. I ain't gonna say males to make them seem like they of age and they're of soundful mind and decisions. No, they typically do the same tactics because typically when they had it done to them, they was grown men. I don't get 19, 20, early 20s, some in the late 30s, or some in the early 30s, right? Um, but they turn around, they do it to like 15-year-old boys and 16-year-old boys. And, you know what I mean? They take their innocence as almost like an initiation. And your innocence can be drained in various different ways. It's not just sexual. Like, let's be perfectly clear on that, right? Even though that seems to be the go-to for these creeps when they want to practice the art of demasculinization. They want to penetrate a young boy's anal cavity, right? To exact their dominance. That's typically what's done in that space, right? But there's other ways, right? There's the drug use, right? The forced drug use, the manipulation of the drug use. Um, there is, an integrity and moral piece that can be, what I mean, that can drain you, right? Um, what are you willing to do? Who are you willing to sell out? Who are you willing to get rid of in order to attain this level of success? And typically, when they tell you who you really get, who you willing to get rid of, if somebody that's of sound mind that's in your ear, that's going to be your level of conscious, that's going to be your governor. They don't want that. They don't want nobody that has a governor that has integrity, that's going to be on your right hand or your left hand, that's going to kind of steer you through that maze of landmines. The only people they want around you is people they can pay or people they can control and manipulate whatever mechanisms they choose, right? They don't want people that are unmanipulable. They don't want people that are uncontrollable. They don't want They don't want that. So if you got somebody like that on your team, are you willing to get rid of that person to reach these heights in your mind, or whatever height that is, right? I mean, people don't sell their soul for a commercial. We ain't talking movie parts. We're not talking albums. We talking commercial. 15, 20 seconds. You know what I mean? So like I said, it's plenty of different ways where your innocence could be drained. It's just what they choose to deem that their mechanism of draining is going to be. So that's always been the history of this though. You know, it's not anything new. Like I said, I think the black males who become gatekeepers, so to say, for the black entertainers, new entertainers coming in the entertainment space, um, they do to them what was done to them, right? But whatever that was done to them, they inflict on those innocent young, especially young boys. They do it to young women, young girls too. Let's not get it twisted. A lot of your black young female entertainers that came in when they was 15, 14, 16 years old, they weren't having sex with 20, 30, 40-year old men. For sure, for sure. Right? And you know, parents paid off, parents knew about it, sometimes they didn't know about it, right? But they was blinded because of whatever benefits that they was receiving from this child's work. Um, you know, it had their attention over there. They didn't have their attention focused on their kid. Understand what I'm saying? Attention wasn't focused on their kid. So um they was given the free space and free reign to have their way with that young person without any distractions, without anyone in the way, without any guardianship, so to say. And you know, it's really a who's who of that industry that you can point out to and say, "Damn, him." Like it's really endless. I'd be more surprised if you say somebody didn't do that versus somebody did do that, because that's how rampant it is. And it's sick. Quite frankly, it's sick. Um, you know, you get this in Cassie's case, you get this young girl that's like 16 years old coming into the music industry. She's been singing for, you know, her whole life, which she seems is a long time, but we look and say 16, you ain't lived yet, right? But in her mind, her 16-year-old mind, she don't live life, especially up until this point, right? So she sorry, I should have cut the notifications off. I should have put don't disturb. I'm getting all these notifications. Um so she 16 years old. She's been singing for however long. She's been singing, practicing vocal training, probably been doing a little dancing, a little stepping, because you know that's the other side of the entertainment space that you have to have as a singer, right? Got to be able to do a couple moves, you know, have a couple dance routines or whatever the case may be. Probably started in church as a typical young girl did that sings. Um, feel as though she had a nice voice. People around her feel as though she had a nice voice, and she wanted to crack into the music industry. Um, However, whatever led her to Bad Boy Entertainment, at that time it still was a viable record label. She's probably looking at this guy, Sean Combs, seen him on TV 1,000 times, heard his name her whole life, especially if she has aspired to be in the music industry. She's probably looking at him like he's a bigger than life person in her eyes, right? She's probably looking like, oh, he don't broke this person, that person, this person. Like he was with Biggie, he was with Mary J, he was with Jodeci. You know what I'm saying? Here's with the locks, Mace, Faith, 112, Tote. Like she's probably running on this Rolodex of talent that has passed through his hands, or that he's had a very intimate involvement with cultivating and bringing to the world. So in her mind, she's probably like, what better person to develop under and reach for the stars with? Not realizing that somewhere in there she was going to pay a price that financially wasn't going to be, there would be no proper compensation for. That's the ugly reality. Um, and it's a thousand Cassies. Whether we want to fully acknowledge that or not, whether people minds are open to that or not, it's a thousand Cassies that you never heard of that never came out, but they had the same. It was promised the same. You do this, I'm going to do this. If you don't do this, you're never coming out. Nobody will never hear you if you're unwilling to compromise yourself in this manner, right? Um, but it's to me it just gives you an idea of the level of I'm not even going to say compromise, the level of degradation that you face and you got to be willing to go through. Um, if you're not of sound mind and if you're not firm in your principles and you don't have a strong support system and team that you can fall back on of people that's going to guide you and protect you and make sure that you straight, these things can't happen to you. You know what I mean? And but also before you get to anyone else, you have to have a level. Your internal governor got to be sound. Because at what cost are you willing to pay? Does your mind say, "There's no way I'm going to do that. There's no way I'm going to allow that. There's no way that I'm going to sign up for that." But then when they brainwash or they manipulate you or they tell you, "Oh, you want this so bad. I can see it in your eyes. You want this. There's nothing else you want more." And it's never going to happen if you don't go through door A. Door B, huh, I hope it works out for you. Door A, I got you. But this is the price you're going to pay to go through door A. And I'm going to present you to the world. We're going to give you $1 million budget to work on the album, and um, we're going to get this guest feature and that guest feature to help you sell it and help you get streams now. And I guess, um, but you're going to be walking knock knee, pitcher toed, and bow legged once you cross over that threshold on the other side of that door. Are you willing to do that? And because of your 16, 17, whatever year old mind at that time, you feel as though your whole life, which isn't a long time to begin with, this is what you work for, right? And now you have it right there in your hands, and you have to do this one little thing. So now in your mind, you justify why you're going to walk through door A and walk on the other side. You're going to walk bow legged, knock kneed, and pigeon toed. And you got to leave everybody else you love and care about, love and care about you truly on this side of the door. Come on, man. Come on, man. It's no way you're gonna. I mean, I don't know. I've never. I just can't see it being worth it. I just can't see it because she hasn't been with this man in probably I want to say 10 years or so. I could be wrong, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood, and she's still doubling back because of whatever she can't get out of her mind of her experiences or what she went through. But she's probably going to die that way, unfortunately. However much longer, I don't know, like we don't know how much longer we got to live, but however much longer she got to live, she's going to die with that. Whatever that pain was, whatever that PTSD, whatever that anxiety or depression or whatever those ills that was created from that situation, she's probably going to die with those symptoms because of that. So there's really no amount of money that could ever properly compensate you. I mean, look at the number of folk that die, that get killed or die mysteriously, messing around with that whole entertainment industry. At some point, people going to realize that it ain't worth the check. Because the moment I guess you feel as though you want to stand up and you want to have integrity. Now you want to exercise and practice self worth. Oh, now after all this, now you have some level of you a man or you a woman or you going to stand tall. All of a sudden, that oh well, no, you too far in. So either you keep taking this red pill, or you want to take the ultimate pill, the slip and fall pill. Which one is it? You know what I mean? And It's a lot of money involved. I'm pretty sure it's a lot of payoffs. Um, so you're talking about people that have means and have wealth, or have, are rich, because everybody's not wealthy, but they obtain some level of finances to where they're part of a certain group, and whoever's cutting their check is part of a bigger group, right? Far wise as wealth, and can offer more protection. But now I offer you protection. You know what you owe me, right? I ain't doing this out of the kindness of my heart, right? I offer you this protection. I offer you this to go away. I got a way out. However, I'm gonna need a way back in. You picking up what I'm putting down. Understand what I'm saying? So it's a never ending cycle, right? This is what I surmise. Just being in this world and moving around certain circles and moving in certain spaces and understanding how that happens in that space on that level. I can only surmise that it's 10 times, million times worse on that level. You know what I mean? Because you're dealing with people with a bunch of money and weird habits, weird addictions, weird habits. Um, that's about the best I can offer. Is weird habits. That's about the best I can offer. Um, you know, they whatever tickles they fancy, which typically is tickle a little different than what the average man is used to. That's what I'll say, right? Um, but in all seriousness, you know, um, like I said, it's one of them things where, at what cost are you willing to pay? Are you willing to be dehumanized as well? Because that's also part of the process. I would surmise is that they don't treat you as your human. They don't look at you as a human. They look at you as an object. They look at you as a means to satisfy whatever twist they may have, right? No matter how twisted and psychotic it may be. Um, are you in a position to satisfy that? Then that's all I need you for. I don't really need you for anything else. I'm not looking for a real lifelong partner. I'm not looking for love. I'm not looking for um, anything on a higher frequency. I just need this to be satisfied now. And um, let me see how long I can manage to keep you around without you running away eventually or committing suicide or something crazy like that. Um, but unfortunately, like I said, there's really nobody in that space that's really going to protect them. Um, we're talking men and women, right? Because don't get it twisted, it's grown men that don't had the heart and courage to come out and speak against being approached or accosted with someone's twisted, dark fantasies and kinks or whatever you want to call it. I just call it weird. Um, but the part that I think is even sadder than that, to me, because to me, if you relegate yourself to saying that you have a price tag on you and you're willing to be dehumanized and treated as an object from A through Z. But the problem I have is when you turn that around and now you're teaching young boys and girls the same thing through your music or through your art or whatever it is you're doing. I think for me that's the bigger worrisome part. Um, I think that's the part that creates the most chaos and the most destruction and the most damage, because the powers that be, or the ones that have perpetuated this and influenced this and educated others on how to properly go about doing this, right? They're the ones greenlighting this music and this entertainment to be broadcasted to young people, purposely catered to younger people. Um, I was at the video last week. I did it. I don't know if y'all remember, but I did a show talking about the music industry specifically, hip hop specifically. Um, Pretty much was it destructive? Was the art form destructive to Black America? Um, and I kind of went through the motions and I talked about the historical factors of the conception of hip hop, what it was supposed to represent, um, what was his actual intention at the time, and when white America, and I know y'all going to get mad at me, I don't care. When the corporations begin to get involved in hip hop, which we understand the corporations to be white America, it is what it is. Because especially then, black folk ain't had that kind of money to invest in hip hop to make hip hop what it is today. Let's call a spade a spade. The bigger record labels, your Times, um, your Time Warners, your Interscopes, your Sonys, right? Those were the record labels with the money, right? So they are the ones that funded hip hop. Let's be perfectly clear. So when they got involved with the funding of hip hop and they started steering the direction of the content, right? We went from a social conscious art form was more socially conscious art form, right? There still was a little bit of a street element. It wasn't overbearing, right? You could count on your hands the number of people that was actually um on some street type of time when it came to their music. Mostly everybody else was on some social conscious type time. They presented it differently. Everybody wasn't public enemy. But look, go back, listen to Grandmaster Flash and them. Pay attention to what they were saying. Go down and break down. Go back down, break down Rapper's Delight. Like really analyze the lyrics of that song. Um, so everybody, it was more people on that kind of time when it came to music than it was people like the Schoolie D's or the Cool G Raps or the, you know what I mean? Like it was way more the other stuff. It was way more. Um, but it seemed like when they ushered in, and it's not their fault. I know there's a big controversy right now that I'm not going to go nowhere near. One because I don't really agree with it. Um, Not to say it's completely false. There are some truths with the statement of that NWA created the atmosphere for really the fall of hip hop, so to say. Um, I can't agree with that to a T. I can see why it's said. I want to say that I can see why it's said. I just don't agree with it being said. Um, because I think with everything in life, it needs to be a balance. And what I mean by that when it comes to this this specific conversation is that you had people speaking from the struggle standpoint of whether it was welfare, whether it was the government, whether it was the police, um, whether it was interactions, just daily survival within Black America and urban America, right? But they were speaking from it from a more of let's rise above the madness, Black Power, right? Everybody is not going to feel that way. We sometimes you just got to tell the truth. And NWA still kicked the other stuff of with the respects of um let's rise above the madness, let's take back the streets. They just did it more in a violent manner. They just was more less filtered. You know what I mean? Express yourself to the fullest, right? That's their song, right? Express yourself. So they just was more direct in your face, right? So it's almost like the Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X. They both saying the same thing. One just pulling less punches. One is intentionally making you uncomfortable. Why? Because Black America is uncomfortable. You can't keep expecting or have the expectation of restraint and and restraint when it comes to speech, restraint when it comes to anger, but you're living in chaos. That's not realistic. It's not realistic. But at the same time, those record labels greenlighted those projects for a reason. So this is why I agree that you got to agree that it contributed, right? It's not the cause, it's not the root cause, but did it contribute? Yes. You got to be truthful about that, right? Because NWA, NWA's records and music and videos and all that was green lighted for a reason. It's green lighted for a reason. Same thing with calling black females bees and hoes and talking about aborting black babies and killing one another and um serving drugs to one another. Is a reason why that music was put to the top, and your Chuck D's and your Chuck D's and KRS Ones and those brothers were kind of put down to the wayside and put to the back burner because it didn't feed the prison industrial complex, it didn't feed the criminal justice system, it didn't feed the welfare system, it didn't feed the further destitute of Black America. That's the ugly reality. So there's a reason why this content was pushed to the forefront. It's a great reason for their perspective and their agendas. It's a beautiful, once again, I always say we got to strategize. I keep making that statement over and over and over and over again. And it's super factual, right? You just go through the timelines and the history and look when the prison industrial complex became privatized. Look when that started. And you're looking to see that it pretty much damn near coincides with the birth of hip hop. When the prison industrial complex started booming and had the need to build more prisons, you would see that when hip hop took a turn to a more an aggressive culture, you would see that coincides. It just is what it is, but you can't put it at the feet of NWA by himself, not the group by itself. There was a lot of people that case that you could say contributed to that. You could say your mind NWA was the first or whatever the case may be, which they wasn't. They were just the first mainstream, I guess, that you heard on that level. Okay, all right, but even still, go back and pay attention to what NWA was saying. Now, I know everybody's not going to pay attention to what they were saying. They're going to see them in the video holding Uzis, Max, and shotguns. You know what I'm saying? And they going to listen to the content when they talk about a brother killing another brother. Like that's what they're going to bring to the forefront. Got it. Overstand. I'm just saying keep the conversation fair. We're going to bring variables, bring every variable, not the variable that justify your stance. Because then it's a real discussion. At that point is what makes it a real discussion. Anything else doesn't make it a real discussion when you're withholding. Ain't that why people get their cases thrown out when they fill out the DA and the prosecutor's office or the detective held vital evidence that could have exonerated somebody? Ain't that when the case get thrown out? It's the same. You got to keep it G the same way. You got to keep it fair the same way. It's a lot of blame to go around for the current state of Black America. There's a lot of blame to go around. And we're going to talk about the entertainment space, hip hop specifically. It's a lot of blame. It's a lot of blame. But let's not act like these movies haven't probably had equal or greater impact when it comes to the psyche and the brainwashing and conditioning for drugs, violence, and sex. Let's not do that now. We can't move the goalposts. So like I said, we're going to have this conversation. Let's have this conversation. But let's make sure and ensure that we telling the truth within this conversational space. Because now we get somewhere now, and that offers progression. That offers a means to an end. Anything else is now you just contributing and further piling on to the problem. You exacerbating things. You're not dissipating false narratives or anything like that. No, you're helping them. You're giving them fuel. But that's just my stance. I could be dead wrong, mind you. I could be dead wrong. But like I said, these components have been the main components within the whole industry, within the whole space. You get a dominant man, or the illusion of one because he was never dominant in his life. Then now he got a couple dollars, or he was told he was somebody. Now he been a sucker his whole life, or she been a sucker her whole life. Now all of a sudden they get some kind of influence, they get some kind of money, they get some kind of backing, which equals power. Now they want to take advantage of those who are vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? That is the blueprint. That is the operating procedures for that industry, for that space, man. Now you got these. Now you just got these new artists. They just taking it to. It was something I've been meaning to talk to y'all about, right? So y'all seen what's the old girl name? Um, pardon me. What's a sexy red, right? This young dot for I can't even say dot in training. This young girl who came in, she's from that might just seem where she was from. I forgot that fast. But young artist came in quite naturally pushing the sex agenda, as most female artists today do. Um, none of them are really, posturing their talent or getting pushed off their talent. They're getting pushed off of whatever sexual desires they think that they may be able to present to the world, whatever the case may be, sex appeal, whatever the case may be, right? Um, so recently, I think some of y'all know she somebody released a little sex tape, probably like 20 seconds with her, and it wasn't nothing to write home about. It's really I don't understand why it's popular, why it's floating all around the internet. Um, but to tell you the psyche of these young girls today, and it's not young girls. I don't want to say young girls today because this element has always allured women for some reason or another. They always have wanted. A lot of women have always wanted a bad boy, right? Especially with who's deemed as a good girl. Good girls want bad guys, right? That's always been a common thing. Bad girls typically don't want bad dudes. They've been there, done that. They want to go try to change their life up and get a clean dude, so to say, right? Or bad girls, so to say, quote unquote. I'm using quotation marks for a reason. Um, they in love with the hood dude. They want that. They know what that is. That excites them. They don't want no square because their life going to be boring in their mind. So this young girls out here preaching and pushing the whole STD agenda, I guess, or trying to create an STD culture or further perpetuate the STD culture because the STD culture is already here to an extent, especially when you're talking about highly weird with all the herpes and gonorrhea and chlamydia running around that goddamn thing, right? Um, so she came out with a lipstick line, right? Let me tell y'all some of the names of the lipstick line that she has: Coochie Juice, Booty Hole Brown, Coochie Pink, Sex on My Period, Gonorrhea, Yellow Discharge, and Nut. So you out here promoting gonorrhea and yellow discharge. Booty Hole Brown. Who want Booty Hole Brown on their lips? like, like, listen, this isn't for me. I don't know nothing about none of this. This stuff is weird to me. Um, oh, I mean, I haven't looked up if she's actually released this yet or not, or what the sales look like. But I'm quite sure that there's some women somewhere that think these names are appealing, and they're going to put these names on their lips and walk around talking about, I got what's that? Yellow discharge. They're, oh yeah, yeah. What's the name of that? Oh, yellow discharge. And you like, oh, what's the name of that? Gonorrhea. What's that on your lips? Gonorrhea. And you're gonna have people like, you got gonorrhea in your lips. No, it's the color of the lipstick. Either way, it doesn't make any sense. Either way, it doesn't make any sense. So she don't have the bread to do this. So somebody has to financially back this play, right? And she's going to sell this. Majority of sell this to little black girls, right? Who think that she is somebody to look up to and who likes because my understanding this was inspired by a song, right? So there's some young girl that listens to this track of talking about booty hole brown and yellow discharge and gonorrhea, and say, "Oh, with sexy red, drop that new lipstick line. It's going to be fire. I can't wait to get yellow discharge on my lips. I think that's going to look fly on my lips. I can't wait to get that gonorrhea. That's going to look, you know what I'm saying?" So what happens is that backdoor subconsciously it desensitizes and makes you more irresponsible when it comes to STDs because you're walking around rocking it in your purse. So you're desensitized from the magnitude of actually contracting that via a sexual exchange. You don't care about getting a venereal disease. Like it's like no, get a penicillin shot. You know what I'm saying? That's what Sexy Red says she do. You know what I'm saying? Like, can y'all not see the danger? I mean, it's already been dangerous, but the further perpetuation and escalation of it, it's like, what the hell? What the hell is going on? How did this become okay? I think that's probably my real question: is how did this become okay? Who greenlighted this? And they don't care. The powers that be don't care nothing about this because they looking at ROI, return on investment. We need these names. I guess her song streamed well, which then turned around and made it make sense for our wise creating another stream of revenue based off this track. Um, from a business side, I guess if I'm the investor or I'm the record label, I guess it makes perfect sense to me. If I'm only focused on the economics, I'm not focusing on the further destruction of a whole race or culture because of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this is going to be the primary cause of destruction. No, no, no. It just adds to it though. It just adds to it because guess what? A lot of them ain't got the money to go get no penicillin shot. They gonna go blind from lack of treatment. I think chlamydia, you can actually die from it for lack of treatment. I think gonorrhea, you go blind or you lose your hearing or something weird like that, right? But once again, now you got to go into some kind of welfare system or some kind of disability system because you can't be gainfully employed. You can't see your hip. What you gonna do? I guess you need to be able to see the answer a phone or something. I don't. Well, you got to transfer a call. I don't know how. Well, I guess they could put that in braille. I don't know. I'm just sitting here trying to figure this out, right? But what I do know is that it's really nothing positive that can come from this. I don't see anything positive. I see more further destruction than anything else because you got to connect the dots. You got to do one plus one. And I told you before, we suck at doing one plus one. We're terrible at it. And they're not going to care to do the math. They're not going to care to look at the drawback of the math because they don't live in them communities anyway. They don't know nothing about the communities. Only thing they know is they make a bunch of money off that community. How can they get more money out of that community? That's all they're looking at. They're not here to have a conscience. They're not here to have a governor. They're not here to have any morale or moral compasses or anything to that effect. That's not what they signed up for. They signed up to make people money, for make themselves money, and to make people above them even more wealthier than what they already are. It's either that or they got to bend over that couch. So they said, "Hi, between me bending over that couch, hi, gonorrhea, it is. Yellow discharge, it is." Despite the fact that black women have fewer sex partners or less likely to engage in the sex, their chlamydia rates were 5 times those of white women. Gonorrhea rates were 8 times. No, per the CDC. No, it's factual, right? Um, and I mean, it's a lot of different factors within the why behind that, right? It's a couple of different factors, but um, yeah, it's not surprising. That sounds about right. Um, that sounds about right. And I think because of what I'm saying is that the influences to have protected sex are different. And let's call a spade. Like we're gonna keep it a buck. The quality of partner that black women typically have unprotected sex with, right? On average, what kind of partners are they engaging with? Right? We talking about those places. We're not talking about suburban America. We talking about inner city America. We're talking about inner city now. We're not talking about um suburbs, right? And don't get it twisted. Them numbers are higher than you think too. That's not what we're talking about. We talking about in those inner city and those blocks, those square blocks where you got 1,000 people in a 4 block radius. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the overrun, overpopulated sections of places, right? Um, and the lore is different, right? This is where the music is really affecting and impacting that. This is where, you getting that quote unquote bad boy, the drug dealer, or whoever who's having sex with you and 10 other women all unprotected. You think you special because you're being told you special, right? So now that spreads. Look how that spreads. One dude can affect 10 women real quick. But that's why I get it twisted. Like women are now here doing what they doing and infecting others. Like we're not going. I'm saying, but it's a system that's really feeding itself. You got a lot of irresponsibility. You got a lot of influence when it comes to music, drugs, or just cultural um norms, right? Where we've lost. That's what I'm saying by um we've lost that moral navigator. We've seen to have lost that. We've seen the lost the big homie, the big person that's in your ear, kind of helping steer you in the right direction to stay away from some of these ills and evils, or how to navigate them. Right? Some stuff is really hard to stay away from, but it's like when you're in the mix of it, how do I navigate it? How do I come out unscathed as much as possible? Right? Um, and those things, we've lost people that are willing or even know how to. So we have a crazy void when it comes to this particular conversation, when it comes to this particular subject. It's a crazy void of experience. It's a crazy void of wisdom. It's a crazy void of respect, meaning that those people in those environments can look at that person with the respect and adulations and kind of listen to what they have to say and take what they say, more importantly, take what they say into action. We've seen the lost that, to have lost that. Um, but I mean, and it's for a lot of, like I said, the power and influence of music and visual, what you see on TV is crazy. I don't know if it gets enough attention. I don't know if people give it enough respect. You got to be super careful what goes into your ears. You got to be super careful what you visually pay attention to. What content goes. I tell people, especially if it's something negative, because that negativity got to find a new host. When that person releases that negativity and put it into the universe, it has to find a new host. The moment you listen to that and you want to listen to that over and over, and you know that it's super toxic and it don't make no sense, you just became that host. And that applies to everybody. No one is special enough to be able to compartmentalize that to say, I'm not going to let that affect me. No, it's subconsciously affecting you very slightly that you haven't paid attention to, but the slight subconscious impact has already bloomed to blossom into something bigger. You just haven't had the ability to identify it. That's why we gotta be super conscious of the content that we view, the kids view, whoever. You know what I'm saying? Because it's that powerful. The human brain ain't nothing but a computer. When we watch that, we download it. We can't dispel everything. It's impossible. There's no difference than when you eat something and consume it, and then your body defecates. Your body still absorbed something and held on to it. It didn't defecate and release everything. That's not how that works. That's a fact. That's a fact. Because, bro, I'm glad you said that. Look at some of those history classes. Look at some of those. So what Bradford said was, I agree. Everything that we learned as a child was by rhythm or a rhyme, right? And think about some of those nursery school rhymes that we learned as kids to help us remember states, cities, presidents. You know what I'm saying? It's like because it's easier because it's a more of a melody and it's something that's more capturing and easier to retain. You know what I mean? It's just the way the human brain is. So when we're also adding, so think about what it's doing to outside music that's not educational. Like some stuff is educational, but yellow discharge is not educational. Gonorrhea on your lips is not educational. Yep, timetables, comp by files, fact, right? So that rhymes somewhere. You got women, girls out here thinking that gonorrhea is not a big thing. Oh, I just got some yellow discharge. I'm cool. I don't need to go to the doctor about that. What? I think you need to go to the doctor about your yellow discharge. For some strange reason, I don't believe that to be normal. I think you may have some kind of bacterial issue that you may need to go get resolved. You know what I'm saying? But listening to somebody like a sexy red can desensitize you to make you think that that's okay. And she's not the first. Like I said, you got other artists out there that's talking about Brett Cavy Creeks. You got other artists out there in the past that don't talked about, getting burnt or whatever. Like it was just something regular, normal that, oh, I could just, it was just a thing that happened. No, it's not something that just happens, man. It's something you allowed or you you created the environment and circumstances for that to happen. Because one trip to 7-Eleven or CVS before you want to do what you did could have potentially helped you avoid that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to me that's dangerous. It's scary. Um, Obviously, it's where we're at today in times. Um, they'll leave a no stone unturned when it comes to how can we make money off of black pain. I've been saying this. To me, their number one objective when it comes to the entertainment industry, specifically hip hop, is how can we further black pain and how can we capitalize off of it. We got so many different vehicles that we're utilizing to obtain wealth off of black pain, and we need to keep this money train rolling. You know what I'm saying? And um, I don't know how we get better. I don't know how we improve upon this. I don't know how we mitigate it, how we overcome it. Um, I mean, it's not impossible. It's just a lot of work, and there's a lot of people that's going to have to be hands on deck. And it may be a case of man where we really got to boycott a lot of this stuff, man. Whether it's music, whether it's these record labels, whether it's anything, you know what I mean, that is harmful when it comes to that space. Um, and that's easier said than done as well. That's the same thing when they talk about how to bring the homicide rate down. They say let's take everybody gun. Well, let me see you try. You know what I'm saying? So that's really the same difference when you really analyze that and look at that for what it is. Um, that's the same difference. I don't see that happening. I don't see how it could possibly happen. Um, I think somewhere in there we got to find a way. Probably the more realistic option is to find a way to combat more beneficial music and content with this nonsense. But then, but then again, people are not going to want to listen to it, right? It's not going to get downloaded. It's not going to get no streams. People don't want to hear that. People want to hear destruction. People want to hear divisiveness. People want to hear how you ran down on the block and aired the block out. They want to hear, oh, what you put in your weed besides weed? Oh, you just smoking weed. No, 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 no. I need to know what you put in your weed. That's what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? Oh, how many kids you got out here you want to take care of? Anything less than 10, you corny. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really where we at. And I don't know how you, and I'm being honest, I don't know how you approve upon that. I don't really know how you approve upon that because it feels like each generation is getting worse. Each generation is just getting worse, man. We're getting further in the hole. Um, a lot of work that was done to for us to be able to do the luxuries that we enjoy today, the basic luxuries, the basic, really just basic human rights, not even luxuries. Let me rephrase that. Um, it's like it went by the wayside. It's not appreciative, and it's just further. It's being destroyed. Legacies are being destroyed. Um, and people are getting wealthy off of those legacies being destroyed, and it's not Black America. It ain't even close to being Black America. Um, but I definitely appreciate y'all kicking it with me. Um, I'm glad I did this. I started just to lay in the bed and watch the Sixers. I'm missing the game, but um, this was on my heart heavy. It was something that I feel as though I had to talk about. Um, I had to talk about with y'all before I walked around the house and talked to myself all day about it, looking crazy. But it's always said that we're not going to progress until we figure out how to fix us, until we can improve upon relations between black men and black women, and it's going to have to start with black boys and black girls, right? Um, Showing them how to and what it should look like, and having them take the charge, and showing that each generation that come after that understands the standard when it comes to that, right? Um, we're not going to prove anything. I promise you, it's not. I don't care. Like I keep hearing about reparations. I keep hearing all this fancy fly stuff that's not going to work. It's not going to improve any circumstance. It's going to be a temporary band-aid. I promise you. I promise you. People going to buy cars, drugs, and guns. I'm talking about people and the people that I'm talking about and really talking to. I'm not talking about y'all that already got y'all life halfway together. I'm not talking about y'all that understand how to invest and how to build portfolios. And I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about them people with their hands in the mud right now. The moment they obtain some of these things, obtain what is it, 300,000? I think that's what I seen yesterday. That was the proposal. The moment they obtain 300,000, they're gonna go buy a Benz, a FN, and a brick. I'm telling you. I'm telling you what's going to happen. I'm not guessing. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Then when they not natural hustlers or they can't figure out where everybody got dope to sell and they can't sell the dope, right? I'm telling you what's going to happen. Then that's going to turn into robberies. Oh, you a black dude? I know you got 300,000, and you look like a person that holds on to your money. Let me get some of that. No, it's not enough people teaching the bare basics. It's not. It's not. And the only thing I'm talking about is basic. Pay attention. Everything I talk about is basic. This isn't no advanced mathematics. It's because our basics are so far off kilt that I can't talk about anything advanced. I can't talk about how to build bridges and no, I gotta talk about first. I gotta talk about how to dig the road out to build the bridge. We gotta gather the materials to build the bridge. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't think people fully understand that's how far we're really behind because they look at their lives or look at their maybe their inner circle or their network of people, and it's like there's people outside of y'all, right? Like you do realize this, right? But I promise you, if they give reparations today or tomorrow to every black person in America of a certain age, the inner city black America crime rate is going to be even dumber than it is today. I promise you. From homicides to robberies to overdoses to being arrested for weapon possession or drug sales. I, I promise you, they want to build each state want to build 10 more prisons this month. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you that is what's going to happen. One, they're going to smoke something they're not accustomed to smoking. They're going to smoke somehow high quality grade or something that they're not normal, that they don't normal smoke, so their body ain't going to be able to handle it. So their body is going to really be out of whack. They're going to try something, then they're going to try to do some. Oh damn, me put something else in that weed. I'm saying, let me go buy this gun. Let me go buy these guns. Let me go buy this car. Let that go from 0 to 100 in 1.5 seconds. Like it's going to be a lot of different variables that's going to contribute to what I'm saying. It's not just all going to be robberies and illegal activities, and no, it's going to be people just not accustomed to what they have and not knowing the responsibilities and how to deal with it. A lot of people going to kill themselves unintentionally. I promise you. I promise you that's what's going to happen. We got to get this right first. We got to get this foundational grassroots principles and concepts. What you say? The basics. We got to get that in order first. If you put sugar on top of shit, what does that make it? People have been trying to figure out how to overcome that concept forever. No, 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 no. It's not going to work. You could never put sugar on top of shit and call it sugar. It's not going to work. So this is the environment that we have allowed for Cassie. Huh, sweet shit. That's funny. That's the environment we allow for a young girl like Cassie, right? If Rihanna never came out and told the truth, if Foxy Brown never came out and told the truth, right? We know Aaliyah's story. But these are the kind of circumstances that we as Black America allow for these young women to be taken advantage of. Tevin Campbell's, the Ushers, right? It's not just black girls. Maybe I got too heavy for y'all. Maybe I want a different thing. I wasn't supposed to say all that. But like I said before, I appreciate y'all stopping in with me, chopping it up. I appreciate the comments and add a dialogue. Um, but y'all already know politics in the corner, real rap Kane. I see y'all in a minute.